We're just waiting a few more minutes for folks.
We got one more. Yeah, we got one more.
Yeah. We've also got one more panelist. A few. It's like, I don't ring it. Oops.
I had to do that one time. I gave my wife my phone to record, so I was like,
Oh no.
You know it's going to be a good panel when he's writing the questions right now on his phone.
Yeah.
He's also my son.
hey,
Hi.
oh, hey, I know you. I've seen you before.
Hi.
What's up?
Sorry, I hit you.
No, hit me again.
And now we are all met.
You want to start since we're all here? Or you want to give it a couple minutes for people to roll in? What do you think?
Started.
A
A little more time. More time is more fun.
What do you want? Some DMX?
Let's go. Ride or die.
I guess we can get it started a little bit early. Thanks for coming, everybody. Welcome to our AAPI representation panel, Comics and Media. Put together this amazing group of creators across the entertainment industry. And we're going to just chat about some cool stuff.
Oh, thank you. All right.
A little bit about me. My name's Justin. I've been doing this channel for about 3 years now. I'm an aerospace engineer by day, jiu-jitsu black belt by night, but full-time nerd. I love to cosplay. The only thing that's really changed since I was a kid is that there's a lot more superheroes that look like me now.
Yeah, we love that. Hi guys, I'm Anjali Bhimani. I am an actor, author, producer. I often say whatever they pay me to do that's legal-er. In the gaming world, some people know me as Symmetra from Overwatch or Rampart in Apex Legends. And on television, Ms. Marvel. I am not Ms. Marvel, but the show Ms. Marvel. It's in the show Ms. Marvel. And then some folks know me from the tabletop gaming world, from Critical Role and D20 and Basic Quest and a bunch of other things. And so yeah, those are some of the fun things that I get to do.
Woo! Never follow Anjali. Never. No. My name is Christopher Sean. I'm an actor, writer. I'm a producer. I play in Star Wars. I play Candid. In Gotham Knights, I play Nightwing. And Ultraman, Rising on Netflix. I play Ultraman.
Yeah.
Also done. I've also done on camera over 300 episodes in the soap opera. The name Bad Guy in 2050 and a couple other TV shows as well. But yeah, I'm honest. I'm very excited to be here. Thank you all for showing up. I know it's a packed room, so just give me some space, please. Thank you.
I just want to shout out that reaction. That was dope, and I love you, and I see you, and that is the reason we do what we do.
It's really difficult to follow after these two. But hi, my name is Mog Park. I'm actually an illustrator. Currently, I'm doing a lot of comics, but mainly known. I got my really start from illustrating for Game of Thrones series. Nice meeting you guys. Thank you.
I got to follow all that. So I don't know what they're complaining about.
That's why I went first with like Justin started me off so nice. Thank you.
Yeah, following a ninja and a superheroes and man. My name is Tony Moy. I am a watercolorist and comic artist, and more recently a writer for the 442nd comic book. A little bit of hidden history about the most decorated unit of soldiers in U.S. history, which were the Japanese Americans that fought during World War II while their families were in internment camps. Imagine fighting for a country that really didn't want to fight for you. So putting that out there is on Webtoons, and I have for the first time finally getting it into print. So come by the table. And then I'm also do work for Marvel Snap. So there's a whole bunch of unreleased cards and some artwork that's coming out for them. So lots of superheroes and other things. But X-Files did worked for Dungeons and Dragons a little bit way back when. But on that note,
Wait,
I hand it over to that.
Can I ask a question? The only snap I know in Marvel is Thanos' slap. So what's
Yeah.
Marvel slap?
Marvel Snap is like Magic the Gathering, but with Marvel characters.
Oh,
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
you guys, I gotta go. I'll see you later. Bye.
Yeah, let's go play. Let's go play.
Is this only digital or is this like
It's unfortunately only
It's an app.
digital.
Yeah, it's an
I know.
app.
It's super fun, and
Give me
I've had
some
to
cards.
I've had to delete it off of my phone many times because it's actually super fun to play.
All right.
Yeah.
I can't not play it daily.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm addicted to Lorcana right now.
So
I
good.
can't stop collecting cards.
Same.
And I'm like, do I feed my kids or do I buy Lorcana cards?
That is a tough call.
Yeah,
Cards.
right?
Yeah.
So,
Ramen's still very tasty. So.
Don't let us. You're gonna have to rein us in.
I know, I'm gonna have to do this. But I'll let you guys talk most of the time. So I originally put this panel together 3 years ago at San Diego Comic-Con because there was a shift in Asian representation, and I wanted to tell these stories of the characters and Asian creators. But over the years, it's evolved to telling the stories of the creators behind these characters and stories. So growing up, like I was always a big fan of Ernie Reyes Jr. and Jet Li. They played a huge part in getting me into my martial arts career. I give my parents and grandmother the aerospace part, but that's beyond. Can each of you share like a character or story or event that inspired you guys to get into your careers?
Well, okay. There are pop culture characters that inspired me, and then there are actual creators that inspired me in terms of career. When I was a kid, the closest superhero there was to me was Wonder Woman, and I'm like, okay, she's brunette and she's a woman. That's what I got. And so I learned from her how to run around in high heels. But that sense of there being the very powerful superhero who was female, that was essentially the one that most of us were gravitating to. Now we are so lucky because we have so many of them, some of whom I've been very lucky to play. But there's so many more creative representations of that. But as people, again, it was women of color, but not necessarily women that were from my culture, because there weren't a lot of them, certainly not performing in the Western market. A ton of them back home in India, but not a lot of them here. So like Paula Abdul and Janet Jackson to me were everything because they were petite, they were fierce, they were dancers, and they were doing the thing no matter what anybody said that they could or couldn't do. And that, like paving your own way, that was a huge inspiration to me. It was just, it doesn't matter if it hasn't been done before, that just means you haven't done it yet. That's it.
Love that.
Yeah, that's cool.
For me, inspiration, my dad was in the Navy, so we moved around a lot. And kind of, I was always trying to figure out how to like fit into every new culture. But like at home, it was comic books and action figures. I loved X-Men, but really it was, I didn't really see any representation of myself being half Japanese, half white. So growing up, I never imagined that I'd be able to be a knight, to have the opportunity to not only like, book the role, but be told DC chose you. That's pretty freaking huge, especially being mixed Japanese. So for me, I realized I didn't have that representation, and not having that really affects you at a young age. You don't feel like you fit in. It's a long-lasting psychological effect where you always feel like the person looking in the window, hoping to be, invited inside, right?
Mm.
So having that, I felt like it's time to break those generational stigmas and be the person that kicks that damn door in and earns the respect, not just for myself, but paves the path to many others. So whether I'm following in Anjali's footsteps or Mog or Tony's footsteps or get my butt kicked by Justin, the goal is to continue to move forward and provide opportunities for the next generation. Shout out to Chris, his name is back. But yeah, so it's great, it's awesome, and I'm very happy.
I think for me, like, I really believe environment shapes who you are, what you like, how you're inspired. So for me, I'm Korean. So growing up in Korea, there is a lot of I don't know if you guys know this, like manhwa, that the industry, right? Manga. And then my first contact, I was really brought up in a very religiously strict environment. So the only thing I was allowed to watch was like documentaries, news, like that strict. And by some chance, I saw like a manga called Rose of Versailles. My friends were, you
I
know
know
it?
it. I know it.
Oh,
Good.
yeah. No, it's just classic. So I was
There's
like,
an
what is
anime.
this? What is this? Yeah. And then that just blew my mind because I didn't know like such things. Then after that, like again, destiny or whatever you call it shaped me. And then I ended up living in Japan, Kobe, during the 90s. And that's when I first encountered anime. And I didn't know what that was. And I was at that time where Evangelion, Cowboy Bebop, I don't know if you guys know this, but Escaflowne. Like all of that, yes, it's really good. But all of that was coming out when I was there. And I was like, what is this? This is so amazing. Then I got caught in the earthquake. I survived it, but like it does really shape you, and then it makes you really just, I don't know, light something under in your soul, like something like there's always like a spark inside you, and then you come near like that type of inspiration or that kind of flame, something about it just enhances the flame inside you. That kind of made me just go towards the art direction.
Survived an earthquake. You kind of glossed over
Yeah,
it.
it was very delayed
It
there.
was devastating. Let me tell you that. It's like you're talking like I was sleeping in, okay, of course it was 4 in the morning. Imagine you're just sleeping, right? And it's so bad that this is the bed you're sleeping on, right? Literally every furniture, it's like a movie, goes up in the air and you're suspended in the air. And while you're suspended in the air, you're hitting the walls side to side. It was that crazy. And I was living in an apartment that was the first floor. So I was the first floor. So imagine like, second floor, third floor, like they're collapsing, right? So yeah, that's my
Woo.
story. That's just part one.
Well, yeah. we can do a panel on that.
No, yeah, I would like not to imagine
But
that.
it is devastating. And you know what? There is a sound.
Yeah.
The Ghibli movie, the animation, remember that one with the airplane?
Roscoe.
No,
Porco.
no, the recent one that was not that great.
Oh.
Earwig?
No, it's like about the historic guy who designed the airplane. Yeah, that one.
What was it called?
The Wind Rises.
The Wind
Yeah.
Rises.
There's a thing where they do an earthquake again, and there is a sound, and he hears it, and that's exactly the sound he hears. It does
Wow.
actually, you hear the moan of the earth. Very scary. Yeah, go
Go
ahead.
For me, the situation, and I was, for a short while, I was a very good Asian boy. Science, pre-med school, took the MCATs as well. I was about to step my foot into and make my parents very happy and go into med school. And I always thought that the creative side of me, like the art, I'm like, okay, well, it'll just be a hobby, it'll just be a thing. But and the whole reason I went to med school and thought that track was because I wanted to have a positive impact on other people's lives. That was like the overarching kind of goal. And the naive young me was kind of like, well, if I save your life, that's a big, major positive impact I can do on your life, right? And it wasn't until I had a few key experiences where the sketches, the drawings, my arts, and a few things like that had a positive impact on some kids and like after school things and stuff. And I was like, oh, like art, I guess if in a roundabout way, art comics and X-Men had a big impact on me and formulating me, I guess art is something. And that put a virus in my head, right? Because you can be an accountant and be like, I always wanted to be an architect. You can be an architect and be like, I always wanted to be in a rock band. But I couldn't see myself being a doctor and saying, you know what, I always wanted to make comic books, So count backwards from 10, okay, time to go here. I couldn't quite do that, so that creativity side of me forced me to drop out of it, much to my parents' chagrin. Right? It was like, oh, look, we're gonna have the oldest son, kind of make it there. The Asians know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
And boom. And so that was a big sort of moment. And one of the things that kind of helped me get through it, you talk about like kind of role models and having that. not only as an artistic role model, but also his journey. You might know someone named Jim Lee.
Little inspiration.
He would talk about that a little bit every once in a while. And that was sort of like, oh, man, maybe there's a chance for me someday. Like, I could do this, or maybe I can figure this out. He dropped out of, I think, medical school or something like that as well. And I think he's made a name for himself. But that having his story out there and him in combination with sort of my own path and understanding of creativity and naivety at the time, we're big drivers in me, I guess more so not giving up hope, right? And like, oh, there's a possibility.
It also sounds like you had a similar experience to me where I was doing theater, but I assumed that I was going to go do like a normal thing.
Mm-hmm.
And once I realized that acting was an option as a career, and my God bless my beautiful South Asian parents who were very not the norm of traditional parents. And they said, we don't care what you do as long as you are good at it and you pay your own bills. So treat it like a real job. Go to school, learn your craft, make a living, make it happen.
Did I read somewhere that both your parents were doctors?
Both of my parents were doctors, but they met doing a play in medical school.
Oh.
In their copious free time as medical students, they were part of an intercollegiate drama troupe. And that's how they met. No, it was very much not. And the whole story of my parents' meeting was very much not. But that sense of if you haven't seen it, it doesn't mean if you haven't seen someone like you do it, it doesn't mean that it can't be done, and it doesn't mean that you can't take inspiration from someone who doesn't look like you, and then be the person who looks like you or comes from your background or whatever that is that person for other people. And that was a huge thing. And plus, this is what you needed to do because I'm telling you, you become an actor, you can tell your parents, okay, I'm not going to medical school, but I'm going to play a lot of doctors on TV.
Oh, no.
No one pays for medical school,
Yeah.
and you can brag to the aunties and uncles that you have a doctor's degree.
My dad's also a doctor, and so, but he's very Americanized. So of my two parents, my mom is the tiger mom, right? But but to your point of like having at least a parent or both your, my dad and I had a very personal conversation around this time, and he was like, "I've worked very hard in my life so my children can do what they want to do, so to speak." But I am conflicted because the idealistic side of me wants you to pursue your dream, wants you to do it. The pragmatic side of me says, go find a job. and so, but having those conversations, having someone that can kind of see your viewpoint and not shut it out, like if I had a much more traditional, that like I might not be here in pursuing what I am.
Yeah, that whole treat it seriously and make a living at it, that right there was like well, that's what we do, right? We're Asian. We treat things seriously and we make good on it. And like, that's okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yep.
I think the key thing is my awesome another artist friend said, everybody says like, oh, you're so talented, right? And the true talent, if you have it, is like you just persevering. That's the talent that you want. Because of that, look at all the stories that you guys have. Whatever this weird influence, for you, it could be a person, for me, it's like a genre, whatever it is. It makes you, we like it, but it's the perseverance or whatever that just makes you back it up and continue it.
Plus, I'm still trying to prove my mom wrong. So
okay, that little bit of hate.
Speaking of perseverance, growing up mixed, I grew up mixed also, so I totally understand the identity, finding your identity. Chris, what were some of the obstacles you had to face getting into the industry, and what did you do to overcome those?
No, not being as pretty as someone like you, Justin. It's very hard for someone.
I think somebody had an article in Playgirl.
Sorry. So,
wasn't me.
So basically, in reference to,
hey guys, what's up?
In reference to like being mixed, for me, growing up again, lacking representation, a lot of Hollywood, and my family in Japan, my family in America, my friends in both areas. In Japan, they're like, "Oh, you're American, you're white. you're not Japanese.
You're not one enough. You're not enough for one or the other.
Not, yeah, and then in America, like, no, you're Asian. You're not American. So I'm like, nobody wants you. You know, nobody's willing to claim you. So you keep that hard work, that mentality where, well, somebody's got to love me, you know. So you work hard, you become successful, and then everyone goes, no, he's one of us. No, come over here, no. And you start getting picked, right? But it comes down to, again, staying focused, rejecting the no's, because you're gonna get 99% of the time you're gonna get a no. And it's not a no, it's just a not yet. Yeah. You know, because if they don't want you now, they're gonna want you later when they see that value. So you continue to work on you. You start to learn to love. You start to learn to love being good looking like Justin. Like you start to learn these things, right? Like when you start to embrace that, other people will see that. So always work on you. And in time, through success, through consistency, and putting yourself in, like there's that saying, it says, do today what others won't, so tomorrow you can do what others. That's Jerry Rice. Wow. So that's the story, though. Put the work in now. And when you do, success will come, success will follow, you'll provide more doors, and then you'll be your own little world. Like for me, I'm mixed, and I love being the best of both worlds. I'm Japanese and I'm American. And now they both accept me.
So embrace your inner Justin. Got it.
Got it, yeah.
Always.
You like Justin.
What would Justin do?
WWJD.
Yeah.
So Mog, you started out on a little show called Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah.
Did you ever?
Never heard of it.
When you started that, did you ever imagine the expanse it would become in such a popular genre now?
Okay, so unlike you, extroverted people, I love just staying at home and reading. I'm a huge story lover, and this is before the show. So Game of Thrones, the book, I was a huge fan of the book, and I was still living in Korea at that time. I was just reading it. Then the first thing I came to America was I have to get the book, and I remember walking for miles, trying to find Barnes and Nobles. But anyway, so I would read it just over and over again. I'm kind of like that type where if I like something, I would repeat over and over again. That's how I was since I was young. And I remember that my husband, he was telling me, you know, if you love this story so much, you have a choice. Either you be a writer or you be an artist. What do you want? It's like, I love drawing. So what you do is, he said, just draw 6 pieces from the book that you love, any book that you love. And again, I was like, okay. And I just drew 6 illustrations of that, just pencil. And what I didn't know was my husband, he took that art and he posted it online. And I was very embarrassed, but he said, you know, just do it. And then what I did not realize was after that, suddenly they made a show. And then after that, suddenly I get an email from the producers saying, hey, we like your artwork. Do you want to work for us? So that just really, it's like winning a lottery. You didn't even ask for it. But what I do notice is the pattern is something similar to that always happened is if you really, without lying, don't lie, right? You're not following a fad. You're not following what's in. You truly love it, right? It somehow resonates, and people, I don't know why, but people will see it, and then they want it. That's what I learned, which is strange. It's so weird that cheesy saying, follow your heart. You have to do it. And the pure your intent is to the love that you have for the subject, whether people like it or not, the more, I don't know why it shows. I think that's a great segue for you.
That actually works really good. Tony, tell us a little bit about your 440 seconds.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah.
Comics had a really big impact on who I wanted to be, specifically the X-Men. And I think, especially in conventions and things like this, like we all love these genres or these stories, and we all try to find our own way to be a part of it, right? Some of us cosplay, some of us write, some of us sell things and buy things. And there are definitely stories within that X-Men mythos that just sing to me as far as like the mutant allegory for things, and really impacted me on how it would turn out. And one of my goals was to be involved with find a writer that could tell a story, and if I could just illustrate a story that would have this impact on people, man, that would be so cool. Like that was little did I know that I would have to be my own writer. and I, coming out of the COVID, I stumbled upon this story of the Japanese American segregated battalion that fought in World War II. And I just couldn't put it down. And after about 9-10 months of falling down this rabbit hole, I started getting really angry about why doesn't anyone know about this? You know, why isn't there a movie, a series, an animation, or whatever? Like, the history is there, the stories are there. And I got really angry, and I was like, well, technically, you're in this weird Venn diagram of skills that you could do something if you wanted to. And that was when I was like, but I'm not a writer. I can't. I've written, but I've never something like this. I'm not a historian. I'm not a researcher. But then because of that passion, because of it, that you feel this thing is so fervent and needs to be told, I kind of tossed those worries and doubts, right? I kind of aside, like, no, if no one else is going to do it, I'm going to figure out a way. And all the stumbles become little lessons, and that passion really does kind of push you forward in those lean moments when sometimes you feel like you're about to fall flat on your face. And definitely, as you say, I'm at my table and I'm talking and I'm telling the story and I'm showing my art, and I know I've hit something when people at my table, all over the country, all over the world, start crying with me, right? Or I start crying with them as you hear the story. Okay, we're going all in.
Yeah.
I dropped pretty much everything else except for the Marvel thing because I kind of have to do that. But yeah, so.
It's weird that I'm the one crying on them.
Yeah. Can I borrow your sleeve? Thanks. Yeah.
So that kind of goes into a question for Anjali. You have an extremely decorated, ranging from theater, TV, movies, best-selling author, to tabletop gaming. Can you tell us a little bit about that journey and how you traversed all these different mediums?
There are three main ways all of this happens. One is just follow. It's not even the passion. It sounds so cheesy, but this is why I wrote my book. It's follow the fun, follow the joy.
Yeah.
And fun means different things to different people. Like, for me, it's fun to do a 2.5-hour production of Long Day's Journey into Night and cry and read awful, horrible things and go through all of that. That might not be fun for someone else. So following what lights me up at any given moment. And two, and this is a really big one, and especially if you are someone who hasn't seen someone who you believe is like you in any way doing the thing that you're wanting to do, is I didn't discount myself before someone else said no. So if the audition was there and they were going to see me, I was going to do it. Didn't matter if I'd done it before. Okay, so I haven't sung in an opera yet. Let me go do it. And then it happens. And same thing with, like, every single step was, oh, I didn't know they would let me do that. Okay, let's try it out. I haven't done it yet, but let's find out. What's the worst that could happen? I'm not going to die because I did a bad job as an actor, hopefully. I'm not doing my own stunts at the moment, or I wasn't. Now I am. So those two things, follow the fun, and then it's been really important for me to diversify my creativity. because at any moment, one of those outlets, one of those creative outlets might not be available to me. Nothing shows you that more than a global pandemic. And all of these friends of mine who had won Tony Awards or won Emmys or whatever couldn't do the thing that they had been all in on, whereas I had been kind of all over the place, just kind of doing the things that made me happy. So when certain things dried up, I was still able to keep going, and just not just like keep going in terms of paying for life and sustaining, but keep going artistically and keep finding other ways. Okay, well, just because this is happening and these things are not happening doesn't mean we can't find other ways to do other things. So it really is just about being willing to do things for the first time and not being scared. And being scared, but also just reminding yourself that as long as you don't die while you've done it, you have succeeded. The bar is very low for success in my mind. It's like, as long as I don't die from this experience, I have achieved some degree of success. And then you train your little primitive brain, your amygdala, you train it to not think that you are in danger when you try a new thing. And then you get more and more excited to try new things.
Great
I
advice.
have a new thing
So
that happened this week. So like, I published my first D&D adventure this week. It's called The Malady of Minar. I see you, critter. I see you. And yeah, it's out in the world, and I'm really excited about it.
I love
Seem
it.
to
I want
enjoy
it. Give me 14.
Go to D&D Beyond. There it is. It's all digital.
So speaking of dream roles, I know for Chris, Ultraman
Yeah.
was considered a dream role. Can you tell us how some of your like personal experiences and cultural heritage went into creating this character?
Great question. How do I start? You know, being good looking like Justin. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm just kidding. For me, Ultraman, when I was a kid in Japan, I would see on TV in the background, and I was always like, oh, he's so cool. And then we'd go to the Matsuri, the festival. There, I always try and get the Ultraman or Ultra 7 mask because it's so cool. He's the Asian Superman. I never imagined, again, not feeling like I was the greatest hero that is a Japanese. Well, the cards all played in my favor. Opportunity. I always team myself up with people that are better than me, people that are really good at what they do, and I just say, hey, let's be friends, and you teach me, or let me be a part of that, and let's work together. My life, I've teamed up with great people. A lot of you are here today. You aren't here, but if you're watching this, yeah, like with Ultraman, it's one of those cool things that I auditioned from home at my self studio, my own. One thing led to the next, where I'm meeting with the team and they're saying, "You didn't get the role of Gamma Man." I'm like, "Oh shoot, that's the role of Ultraman." Like, yeah, and the character's cool because he's half. Well, he's a American coming back to Japan, so he's also half alien. So being mixed, I feel like I was part of the culture. He's also he's an athlete. I'm not an all-star athlete. I just work out, but you know, I can relate to that way.
You're athletic.
Yeah, and then and lastly, he became a father. So many relatable aspects. There are other things I don't want to tap into, but again, every aspect of the movie were like puzzle pieces that were just in a different order in my life. So it was so easy to step into this role, and you know, working with Shannon Tindo, who made Go into Two Strings, and John Ashima, Lisa Poole, Tom Knott, the entire team. We had the London Symphony Orchestra and ILM, and it was like one of the best movies ever. And you guys want to check it out? It's on D&D. Where is it? D&D? No, it's on Netflix. Ultraman Rising. It's an amazing movie. But yeah, it was really. They say you can't pick a favorite child. I feel that about my acting career, but I would pick Ultraman as my favorite project that I worked on.
I've seen it. It's
Pretty
yeah,
good.
before I knew you were going to be here, I actually had watched it.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah. First round's on you.
Oh, joke. Yeah, sorry.
So Mog, I know your talents span multiple mediums also, going from storyboarding to comics to classic art. Can you tell us a little bit about how your cultural background influenced your artistic style?
Yeah. Um, okay, so like I said, growing up in Korea, and I was heavily influenced in that Eastern culture art, so like manga, anime kind of. But one thing that really particularly hit home, like resonated with me, was when I encountered Yoshitaka Amano's Final Fantasy concept art. I don't know, something about that just really resonated inside. And I think that kind of left a mark. I never really tried to copy him or anything. I just like admired his work a lot. Then circumstances again happened where he came to America. It was San Francisco, and I went to an art school, and then they're teaching you just like classical fundamentals, everything, and comics too. And there was kind of like a clash of styles, but I always kind of kept that influence, and I wanted to kind of incorporate it and mix it together, like the two worlds into one. And that's actually funny because so my style ended up kind of being something called weirdly dubbed as illustrative. So when again the Game of Thrones guys, producers, hired me, they say we're not looking. We don't want anything that looks like comics. We don't want anything that looks like manga or anime. We want something that looks illustrative, and that's why we chose you. And that was so weird. Again, it's like that weird like mashup of something. So I stuck with it, and kind of this like a off story tangent. But what's funny was working for them for 5 years. One day, for whatever reason, one of the accountants had to call me for money issues, and they were so surprised that I was actually a girl because my name Mog Park was actually very masculine. So all this time they thought I was a guy, and it's funny because the drawings I did was unlike your story, actually. What I realized in my life is I have to do everything that I'm afraid of or I hate. Not follow my fun. So I didn't know that I was gonna end up drawing from. I thought I was just gonna do illustrated, like kind of like we said, storyboard. But what happened was, while I was working for them, they were in dire need of people who were doing like architectural designs, background designs, prop designs. No one really likes to draw these environmental art stuff. And I remember my friend was an architecture background, and she influenced me, and she said, this is kind of a good skill. So even though I didn't like it, something about it is, I guess I don't know why. If I don't like it and it's so difficult for me, I stay with it for a long time. And then I took almost like 2 years studying just background and architecture. But I didn't know that skill later on would be useful when I ended up working for HBO, because when they were going for it, all they did ended up was drawing surprisingly environmental art. I was doing all this architecture, and maybe that's also the reason why they thought, oh, you must be a man, because like very structural type of work, and I don't know, but something like that. So doing that, after doing a lot of that, when I transferred to, I was doing a bit of like game designing a little bit because they liked my work. So I did that. And then when I went to comics, I had to kind of change my style. And it did take a bit of a while to adjust to get a little bit more Western type of feel to my artwork. And yeah, that does take time. But, for me, I can't really quickly change. So I have, some time, and then I'll finally get into it. And then now I'm just, yeah, like if you guys come to see my artwork, it's kind of like a fantasy illustrative.
It's very evocative, and there's a lot of yeah. There's you look at it just from colors and the layering that you put in there.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
very beautiful.
Okay, but the color thing again is weird because I was only doing black and white design, like comic, just draw.
Oh, yeah.
But one day, this fan guy came to me and said, "Hey, I love Black Panther. Please, can I commission you to do Black Panther?" Like, all right, but can you add a color? It's like, oh, I don't do color. Just add a purple. Just add that purple. And we're like, oh my God. And I was stressing out for 1 week and I finally added that purple. I was like, yes, I think I can do this. And then from then on, within the span of like 2 to 3 years, I ended up painting a lot and never, again, I never thought I would end up painting like
I've only known you as a painter.
that's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't seen your black and white
And
stuff.
even when it was for working for again the Hollywood, right?
Yeah.
It was all black and white.
That-
I never thought that I would just be.
I was black and white for a long time
Yeah,
too,
you too, right?
like pen and ink, typical pencil inker kind of stuff. But yeah, that's funny.
But actually, I wanted to ask you, Anjali, like, because how I said that I like something, I would repeat nonstop. So, like hearing from you, you say you like to follow the fun.
Yeah,
Are
it's
you
not
like that too,
it's
or
not
not really?
whimsy so much as like, what is the thing that lights me up so much that I'm willing to suffer for it?
Okay.
Because that's actually the root of the word passion. If you look at the Latin root of the word passion, it's to suffer. So what is the thing that lights me up so much that I'm willing to do the hard thing for it? Right? And that's why what lights me up might be different than someone else, because it might look awful to someone else. But to me, it's exciting. That's more what I meant. Otherwise, it looks like I'm just kind of like, woo, I'm just gonna do whatever I want, and it's not
Squirrel.
quite that. Yeah, not quite that way. Not quite that way. One thing that you guys just said though that made me think of it's that you when you said that you only know her as a painter, and she's like, that's weird. I still only do this thing. The nice thing about doing a lot of different things is that I say this all the time. I don't care how you find me. I care that you find me. So I'm going to give you no opportunity to not come find me. And if you know me from this, fantastic. If you know me from this, fantastic. I prefer that to be the way that we all get represented, because also it shows that we are all multifaceted and not just one aspect of who we are. We're not just Asian. We're not just a man or a woman or non-binary. We're not just any one thing.
We're not just Justin wannabes.
Yes.
Speak for yourself.
And I think that's the cool thing about representation and inclusion in today's day and age is we are seeing a lot of stories being told, a lot of art being created, a lot of people stepping up who are showing that we are so much more. We are a product of so many things. Definitely not just our race, not just our culture, not just our background, not all we're so many different.
I think we have a little less than 10 minutes left, so I think we'll open it up for some questions. Got
First hand was over there.
Michelle.
I'm sorry because I already know. I know you. I want to know.
I would like to know.
Right. Such a great question, and there's no short answer for it, I don't think. I do think that one thing that definitely serves me, and I sense that it probably serves you too, is that when I know what I need to focus on creating something, whether it is writing, like writing my book, it's a great example. I'm not thinking about, I have to write this book. I'm thinking about who needs me to write this book? Who needs to hear? There's someone out there that needs to hear this story. It's not because I'm some big deal. All I have that nobody else has are my stories, my experiences. And if I share that with people, that might help someone. That might entertain someone. So I am doing it with someone else because I'm creating it for someone else with someone else in mind. So any of the solitary things that I have had to do, that's very much been a part of the process. It's not like, ooh, who's your target audience? It's not even that. It's who do I want to touch? Who is this for?
The in service to the story or in service to
Yes.
some other community,
Yeah.
right? It's definitely like I've had to sit doing the research for the 440 second and stuff like that, and like sitting there and forcing myself to go through historic, histories and stuff like that, and mundane army military descriptions of what happened, it's definitely not my idea of fun. But there is that goal that makes it very enjoyable. Like the process for me of creating art is sometimes laborious and it's
Yeah.
boring, but when I'm done, that's my dessert. Like when I pause for a second and look back, I'm like, damn, okay, on to the next. But that is what it is, and that service to a bigger picture is very important for me.
You actually are an extrovert. I'm sorry.
No.
I've got to tell people. He really is an extrovert.
Mog, what about us?
Oh, you're an introvert?
Yeah, what about us?
For me, I like the process. Not the for him. Like I notice, like extroverts, it's like the end goal. I want it like for you. I want to do it for somebody else. Like
Yeah.
wow, that's
No.
beautiful.
But it's so much
This
more
guy,
fun.
like-
Nothing is fun when it's just for me. I mean, some things are like when you're entertaining yourself or having a break or whatever. That's to fill the well. But what's the point if other people aren't going to get to you don't get to share it with people and put it out there with people?
So beautiful.
We had another question right there.
Yeah, for me.
What are the hallmarks of
Huh.
a lot of the time that's not cultural, that's also everybody. I've always found that out on the guys know ready to step out and
I was always the kid with my hand up, but for a very different reason. Because even if I knew the answer, I wanted to make sure everybody knew it was okay not to. Because I knew if I said I don't know, then everybody who was afraid to get called on would not feel bad about saying I don't know. And so then now we're all just like hanging out, learning stuff instead of you have to be right to be good, which is what we were raised on. You have to get the A's, you have to be perfect. And so that set me free as well as the people around me so that we could suck at something, which we all should do when we begin. We don't have to be perfect at it. And then when you get comfortable with being bad at it for a minute, then you can really enjoy the process. That for me has helped. I think it's important to be bad at things and feel what that feels like to be an amateur and be a beginner and sit in that discomfort so that you can then create something great.
I think they're telling us to wrap it up.
Yeah.
All right, real quick, where can we find you guys?
On the internet.
Yeah.
I'm on Instagram and Twitter and Threads and all sorts of places. You can either just put my name into Google or whatever your search engine is, or my tag and my handle in a lot of places is the word sweet, but with 3 E's, sweet, ANJ at the beginning of my.
But you also have a booth downstairs?
Do you also have
A booth downstairs?
Oh yeah, I'm booth 1380. I'll be down there signing stuff and talking and hugging and singing.
Find me on Instagram. My name is Mr. Christopher Shaw. Another social media platform.
I'm just saying I keep it simple. Just Mog Park. Please find me there. Instagram and Facebook.
I'll be at table A4 in Artist Alley. I've usurped the first page of Google so that you can easily search my name. And I do have two quick giveaways. Anyone's birthday today or this weekend? Anyone have a birthday this weekend?
Oh, 2 people right in front of
Yeah,
you.
that's perfect too.
It's your birthday? Sunday? Last Sunday? Anyone
Oh
tomorrow?
yeah.
Okay, you get one of these and then
Yay.
actually you'll both get one.
Question: anyone play Gotham Knights?
You got one? You got one?
Yeah. All right. All right. I'm gonna give you a pop.
Soda.
All right,
Thank you so
guys.
much,
you, everybody.
Justin.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Justin, for moderating that. That was
You
great.
can keep your.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. We should get a picture before we leave.
Yeah, I will.
That's right. Yeah.
How you spell THOMA?
THOMAS. Yep. We have like the same background too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I have Japanese too.
Really good students who sent us for take one take.
He was right. The movie was fantastic. I did a review on it too. Ultraman. It was amazing. Yeah. Thank you. Justin's good looking.
Thank you.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Follow you guys on IG.
Okay.
Thanks for playing the game. Yeah, you did. No, I really did.
No,
This is
I'm
my
just kidding.
main character, man.
Are these your Jessica? Hey. Are those yours? Are those yours?
What's up, Nate?
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
What's up, Nate?
Spill that water.